Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Survivor Series 2016. And well, you know what? I typically like to do these shows where I talk about everything in order, but you know, with the way, and I do have a little bit of hindsight, so I'm going to give you an initial reaction, and then a little bit of hindsight to go along with it, about the Goldberg-Brock Lesnar match. I'm going to start with the main event right now. In the aspect of it being a WCW squash-style match. And that's literally what it was. It was a Goldberg WCW squash-style match. He hit you, like, that was what they used to do to get him over back then. And they use it here with him and Brock Lesnar. And it was one of those things, like, when I initially watched it, I was like, what? Really? They're gonna go that route with it? Because it wasn't announced that he was gonna have more than one, more than one potential show or one or more potential matches with the company, that being Goldberg. And it came off a little bit weird that they would do that after all the build-up, and then they go into like a minute and 25 seconds of a match to end the show and to end or for the aspect of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. But did it make me angry? I know there was a lot of people that were angry and they felt gypped about it. It's like, no, because there's been so many times that WWE has been said, oh, you're too predictable. Oh, this, oh, that. Too predictable of a show to even truly care about it. Who was calling that? Matter of fact, who called most of that night? With the exception of how the women's 5-on-5 match ended, most people probably didn't call a lot of the stuff in the way that they did things tonight, including this one, in any way, shape, or form. It came off interesting, came off making Goldberg look crazy dominant. The spears look sick. Like, Goldberg has one of the best spears, period. And both of those spears, like, it looked like he really, like, hit him extremely hard to take him out. But all you really got to say is wow to the finish, or just the match, and how they decided to go about everything. And it doesn't really disappoint me in the end. It leaves you wanting to see more, and especially the factor that they've announced that Goldberg is going to have more matches. It works in the end. You kind of need to put him in that dominant spot. And it was just one of those moments of wow. And you really can't say too much more than that about it. And it came off, like I said, I'm not disappointed. I see how some fans would be, but it got people talking. It gets people potentially watching Raw to see what would happen. And yeah, good job on that one. So yeah, very interesting. Not just that, but the entire show itself. They started with the outside of that, we'll go into the rest of the show here. Outside of that, the 5-on-5 women's match started off the show. They started off the show by doing all the entrances and everything, and Nikki Bella gets taken out. She doesn't see her attacker or anything, and Natalya replaces her. They go throughout the entire match, and to be honest with you, there are some rapid-fire eliminations, which is not necessarily the best way of going in the Survivor Series match. Like Carmella got eliminated pretty quickly, and then Alicia got eliminated almost right afterwards. But all in all, I mean, the match was not too bad. A little bit sloppy at times, but not too bad to go along with everything. Nia Jax tapping out after looking really dominant is an interesting way of going. And I'm shocked they kind of went with a tap-out finish, though it looks like maybe they were going to try to go with a pinfall finish after a double DDT with Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch, but that looked like it was botched a bit, so they went with the disarmor finish afterwards. But other than that, like, she looked extremely dominant throughout the entire match. One of the weird eliminations was that Natalya pinned Sasha Banks. It leads you to believe maybe they got something for Natalya, though they technically never had in the past. But we'll see where they go about it. But in the end, this match pretty much was a catalyst to build Bayley versus Charlotte. Because after the match, Bayley wins with a Bayley to belly over Becky Lynch, and then right after the match, like, they raise they raise Bayley and Charlotte's hands, and then Charlotte just destroys Bayley. So basically, this match was like putting a catalyst to that particular feud down the road here, and we'll see where they go with everything in that sense. I mean, overall, the match was fine. But in the end, it seemed very inconsequential to anything, with the exception of building Charlotte and Bayley down the road. But otherwise, and maybe even a potential storyline going down of, who attacked Nikki Bella, though you would have to assume that maybe it's going to go into a way of Natalya or something in that sense. And we'll see where they go with everything in that. Miz and Sami Zayn, I thought, was a good match. Was kind of looking forward to it being Dolph Ziggler and Sami Zayn, but Miz and Sami put on a really good match. The finish came after a whole aspect of, throughout the entire match, like, Miz was working over the leg, trying to set up the figure four, and they even got to that spot where Sami Zayn had to fight through that, and then Sami Zayn had the figure four on Miz, and then all of a sudden you hear the ring bell, which is like a smart thing for Miz and how Maurice rang the bell and everything, but makes Sami Zayn look kind of dumb in the end, because he was looking at Miz, and Miz doesn't actually tap out, but he lets go thinking that he actually won or something in that sense, and then of course gets taken out in the end, and then Miz pulling out the victory to go along with it. I mean, overall good match, but not the greatest finish in the world with everything. But it came off rather well in the end. So we'll see where they go with everything and how they're going to play off of all that to go along with it. Up next was the 10-on-10 tag style, or the tag teams elimination match. Really weird right at the beginning. So Breezango gets eliminated really quick by New Day. And then New Day immediately afterwards gets eliminated. Really interesting way of going to get rid of the captains that quick, and how they worked off of everything to go along with it. Gallows and Anderson throughout the entire match, they looked rather good, eliminating a couple teams. American Alpha, which was one of them was American Alpha, to go along with it. You were kind of expecting them to go over, because a lot of people were expecting SmackDown to probably go over in this case, and then they would put over like American Alpha or something in that sense. But no, that wasn't the case. This was more over to put Sheamus and Cesaro over, and they just, like, the match itself kind of almost felt rapid fire in the terms of its eliminations until the Usos went up against Cesaro and Sheamus, and like, you pretty much have seen this whole combination of how Sheamus and Cesaro work together now. They seem to work together as actual tag team partners, even though they don't like each other. They just want to work and make it and actually win matches. It came off rather well. Like, I like the ending of this match, and I liked how everything and some of the other stuff played. Sorry, I've got a little bit of an itch here. But overall, like, this match was kind of meh in the end. And then, of course, Raw goes over to go along with it. So it made you even think about, like, the aspect is like, okay, what does the 5-on-5 men's match mean now that two of the Survivor Series matches had already been won by Raw, though SmackDown won the Intercontinental title match. So you're thinking in your head, it's like, oh, so SmackDown wins the Cruiserweight match, and then that means something for that. And then lo and behold, what do they do for the Cruiserweight title match? First of all, good match. I thought the match was great for the way that they were working, like how both were working together in the ring. The match came off rather well. Like, both styles seemed to work Kalisto's high flying to go along with Brian Kendrick being more of a mat-based guy. Both styles, I think, worked out really well, and they worked well together. But you got that stupid-looking BS finish from Baron Corbin coming out and attacking both guys. He attacks Brian Kendrick first, actually giving him the win. So guess what? Now you don't have anything to say, oh, now the Cruiserweights are going to be on SmackDown because Kendrick won the match. And then he destroys Kalisto to go along with it. Not a great way to finish off the match. It's one of those things that is like, great, I was watching a really good match, and of course they're going to do some crazy BS. Let's continue this storyline thing, even though they played this one up as like being the most at stake throughout the entire night. Like the Survivor Series style matches had nothing of consequence behind them. The only ones that had consequences behind them was the whole Intercontinental title match and the Cruiserweight title match. Those had consequences behind them where the titles could switch shows. And then they go with that finish for the match, and it was a nice little letdown to go along with it for that. And this leads into that the 5-on-5 elimination style match from the men's side this time. So this match, it went on for a really long time, which I was completely okay with. It was a long match, like almost a good hour. But one thing that they did, and they did this in all three matches, and I'll bring it up now. Like all three matches of the Survivor Series elimination style matches somewhere led to a big brawl. Like all the members get in, and like a huge brawl happens, and everything in that sense. So it was like a little bit of originality towards the end, especially when they had the big brawl inside of that match. But I also like the aspect that a lot of the outside of when KO and Jericho got eliminated, there was no real rapid fire eliminations in this match. It was kind of each one took their own time to go along with it. Let's go through everything here. They also use this match as a good way of like building stories to go along with it, like furthering on the AJ Styles Dean Ambrose story, where AJ accidentally gets Dean eliminated from the match, causing him to get eliminated, and then Dean coming out later on to cause the same thing with where he teams up with Rollins and Reigns, and you kind of get a Shield reunion moment. I even like the aspect that it's like, Ambrose is getting pulled away from security, and Rollins and Reigns kind of, they attack security to try to get them to go, this is like, hey, he's going to help us. Let's get rid of the security so he can help us out some more. But this also leads to other issues with the match itself that I had. Like, I thought this was a really good match in the terms of the spots and how they did everything. I wish they would have made the match no DQ, because God, how many disqualifications would there have been in that match? I mean, they DQ KO for using the list of Jericho, which causes also Jericho to kind of flip out a little bit, because the list goes flying everywhere, so he gets distracted and gets RKO'd to get eliminated. Though one of the better spots in the match I liked was the bit with James Ellsworth and Braun Strowman. Like, they had a backstage segment earlier in the show, where they kind of reunite a little bit, and then of course in the match, like, Braun Strowman's getting counted out, and and as he was trying to get back in the ring, it's like you see him trying to get back in the ring, but he can't lift himself. And then lo and behold, after the 10 count happens, you see James Ellsworth, or you just see two arms holding on to Braun Strowman's foot, and then he drags out James Ellsworth to go along with it, and then absolutely destroys him, putting him through a table and everything. It was a nice, good spot to put in the match, and a good way of getting rid of Braun Strowman without necessarily causing a pinfall or even a disqualification in any way, shape, or form. So that came off really well. Shane McMahon, man, that spear he took from Roman Reigns. Also, the aspect of how crazy, how much offense he got in the match as well. Like, he was beating down both Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for a good chunk of time, and it just looked extremely weird. But this is going to lead me into where, like, after that, this is going to lead me to where, like, this match, though good and overbooked the way that it was, also made no sense in the aspects of, like, why no DQs happening after KO? Like, technically, Dean Ambrose was out of the match, and he starts attacking AJ. So why is someone not DQ'd? Then after that happened, you have Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt about to go up against Rollins and Reigns, and then Luke Harper shows up. Who gets involved in the match? Where's the DQ? Like, the logic of the match was just thrown out the window. That's all that happened. Like, that's the down point of this match. Otherwise, good match. Otherwise, a really good match. But logic towards everything else kind of out the window. They just threw it out the window in this match. And that honestly is a down point of the match itself. But otherwise, really good match, and they at least put SmackDown over for once in there. It wasn't like a full-on clean sweep of everything. So yeah, like I said, the only down point of that match was the aspect that they decided to take logic, and over here we haven't announced there's no DQ, but it's kind of no DQ, just so we could do these spots in these moments and everything like that. So yeah, it came off a little bit weird in the end. But overall, I actually kind of enjoyed Survivor Series this year. It came off as a pretty good show. I was not really disappointed about the whole aspect of Goldberg and Lesnar. And you can even play off the aspect of the logic, like when Lesnar was getting up from when Goldberg shoved him, he turned his back and Goldberg, like, logistically and logically, like, I'm going to take advantage of spear him for this. For turning his back to him while getting up. You can even play that aspect of it. And you can play some other, like, type of logic stuff to how that match ended up going that way. Like, Lesnar being overconfident, saying, you know, he's this old. I'm like this. I don't need to even train for this and everything to go along with it. So we'll see how they play off of that. You assume that they're not going to be done with each other, but we'll see if that's really going to be the case down the road here to go along with it. But overall, I kind of enjoyed Survivor Series this year. I thought it came off as a pretty good show. Wish they didn't really have so much in the terms of not very good finishes, but otherwise really good matches to go along with it. But we'll see where they go everything in the upcoming weeks. And that is my review for this year's Survivor Series. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.